From crack addict to self-made multimillionaire, you may think that's something, but even more valuable than cash flow is the story you're about to hear on this special edition of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show.
The views expressed on this special broadcast of the Take 12 Radio Show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. KHLT is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
A very scary experience.
You know, God is a solution. God, the 12 step.
I like where he's going here.
Helps the community grow, helps us grow. Monty has done a phenomenal job.
Lack of open-mindedness. And you're talking about taking people through a spiritual process and getting them into recovery.
Thanks, Monty, and thanks for all your support.
We need spirituality to make this thing work long term.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
And now, broadcasting on location somewhere in the vast expanse of the Pacific Northwest, it's the over-opinionated 12-stepologist, the Monty Man.
Welcome to the show, my friends. We are Take 12 Recovery Radio, and I am your host, the Monty Man, broadcasting to you and for you from the outskirts of beautiful downtown Albany, Oregon, from the KHLT Recovery Broadcasting Studios. It's great to have you with us today on this very special broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. Today on the show is a man who, despite extreme financial issues, drug addictions, and adversity, creates fame and fortune really through the power of God because of an idea about, of all things, a pillow. And now this is an American success story. Most people would have quit, but my guest has kept going despite the obstacles thrown at him. Can you identify with that? I know I can. And through it all, he has kept his sense of humor. He doesn't let negativity tear him down, and he has always had a positive energy. And because of his tenacity, Mike has been able to get people to trust in his dream. Please join with me in welcoming founder and CEO of MyPillow, Mr. Mike Lindell. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
It is an honor to have you on, my brother. Your story is definitely one of restoration and miracles, nothing short than a miracle. People that haven't heard about you or MyPillow are just they're living in a cave somewhere by now. And folks, if you've never heard of this, if you've never seen this, you really need to do yourself a favor. And at the risk of sounding like an infomercial, may I just say I own 3 of these, and I have never slept better in my life. And I have sleep apnea, and my son has one, my wife has one, and I have one, all custom made. Mike, it's an amazing product, and I know you've heard that a million times. Do you ever get tired of hearing that?
No, that's actually a lot of that's what kept me going over the years when hearing people's testimonials and how it changed their lives. And for me, I've always been I've been so blessed to help so many people. My passion has always been to help people, and I never get tired of hearing testimonies.
Right.
How it changed people's lives.
Well, listen, you sound great. You're doing great. We watched your documentary. I mean, you're healthy and you've got God's serenity on your life. You have a wonderful family, but things weren't always like that. True?
Yeah, it's true. I was a 20-year cocaine addict and alcohol, and then that turned to crack cocaine, and no, it wasn't always a bed of roses.
No. How did you get into the cocaine thing? I mean, what happened? Was there a certain event that drew you into that?
Well, it was in the early 1980s, and now I know why. When most addictions manifest from when you're a child, and you have whether you have trauma or in my case it was it was a divorce. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old, and back then divorce were common. I was put into another school, and I had a lot of, I think, a lot of inner pain from them, and I always had a tremendous fear of rejection. So I was very shy, would not talk to people. If you don't talk to people, you don't get rejected. So cocaine, when I tried that in the early 80s, that gave me, all of a sudden, wow, I felt like I could, talk to anyone, do anything. And that's how I got into it. I can remember the first guy that I ever did it with. And as a matter of fact, he was there for me at the end when he came to me a month before I quit, and he had been clean for 3 years and found Jesus, and I had all kinds of questions for him.
I'll bet you did. Had you ever? I mean, was there a certain event that happened where the light bulb came on, and you said to yourself, "This has got to stop"?
I had in the early 2000s. That's when I switched to crack cocaine. But then I had always been an entrepreneur, and I actually had a local bar, and not a good place for a guy that's with all these addictions. And then when I invented MyPillow, I had so many things started happening besides my own adversity with the crack addiction. People trying to take the company. We lost our house. I lost a 20-year marriage. Everything fell apart. And in 2008, the drug dealers actually did an intervention on me in Minneapolis when I was downtown living in the worst part. And they came to me, and all three of them said, I go, "You guys know each other?" They knew of each other, and they said, "Mike's been up for 14 days, and they all their people, all of them cut me off." Well, I waited till the last one went to sleep and went down to the streets about 2 a.m. and I couldn't get crack anywhere, and I came back up, and the one dealer, he says he was waiting for. He said, "How'd that work out for you?" And he said, "Here, I'm going to take a picture." He says, "You made a promise to us that God has given you this platform, or He's going to give you a great platform, and you're going to come back and help us all. We're not going to let you die on us." And he took this picture of me, and that was in early 2008, but it still took 9 more months. Events that happened. I had my son moved out on me that with a tear in his eye that he couldn't take it anymore, and then my friend coming to me in December of that year, and just out of nowhere he says, and I said I had all these questions for him, and I said, "Is it boring?" and all these things, and then on January 16, 2009, I prayed. I said, "God, I want to be freed of these of the desire for all these addictions and all these drugs and then I'm all yours." I woke up the next day, and it was the most peaceful feeling. I'm going, wow, but I didn't. 3 months later, I actually went to our church there's a treatment center they had there. It's called Living Free, and I wanted to make sure that I wanted to find out where my addictions came from in the first place. I felt God was leading me there, and I went in there. I went into the counselor, and I said the first day, and I said. I actually met him at the door. It wasn't even a class. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I quit my addictions." I said, "I'm going to have a foundation someday, and I'm going to have a book, and it's got this big platform of this pillow I invented. It's going to get really huge, and it's going to be a platform for the kingdom," and telling him all this stuff. And he went home and told his wife. He said, "This guy came in." I said, "I think he's still on drugs." And but I got into his class, and it was different. It was like I had been through many treatment centers before, and where they shame you more. Oh, you've hurt your parents, and you've hurt your children, and you spent all your money. And well, when you get out of treatment, you have enough. You expect trust from people. You're not going to get that, and to have more shame, to live with more shame, that doesn't work. Well, this particular center, he goes, "We're not here to talk about how much drugs you did and what you did." He goes, "Let's go back to your childhood, and we'll talk about your father, or whatever." And mine was a divorce, and they went at a different angle, and I did. I found out the roots of why people become addicted to mass pain.
Sure.
And it was an amazing awakening there, and to learn that stuff at that time.
So you discovered that the drug use was simply an outward manifestation of an inward condition. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I firmly believe that now, that most, you know, when you're a child, whether it's trauma or whether it could, you know, it could be a divorce, which is our fatherlessness, broken families, you know, these things manifest either into addictions, personality disorders, all kinds of stuff there. And they did a poll in a prison. I believe it was in Kansas recently. And in a prison, you know, you're there for over a year. Well, they did a poll in that prison. How many of their parents got married, planned having them, and are still together, kind of like the white picket fence we all envisioned?
Sure.
And how many of that percentage do you think that was in that case? It was 0%. That was so sad and so telling of how important a family is and how important God is and everything, that family unit and we, you know, you get down to the jail level, of course, the percentages go up, and then people that have never been in trouble or never been addicted, you know, you look back at their childhood and they didn't have a lot of these things happen. And everybody's different too. Some things like mine, I would have told you, well, I had a great upbringing. Well, then I find out that how much that divorce in my family back when I was 7 years old, how much it really did affect me.
Did you have any inclination or any belief system about who God was prior to all of this that you bounced back on, or was that brand new to you?
Well, you know, here's the thing too, and you know, I was I'll tell that story right now. All through my life, I would be in I'd be in a crack house, whatever, doing crack, and we'd be or cocaine or whatever, and I'd be talking about the Bible and about how we should quit drugs, and my friends, I had like 30 people quit. That was their last day ever, and I'm going, what am I saying? And because most people would call you a hypocrite. Well, that was me. I look back now, that was me trying to convince myself. And, you know, even though I was freed from addiction, from the desire on January 16, 2009, I've got quite a story. It goes up to 2014, and I met a gal, and she had something completely, I had never seen this relationship with Jesus. And she had this, and I'm going, you know, it was something I didn't have. I would always, you know, back then I would always pray when I'm in trouble, you know, please God, get me out of this situation and get me out of this. And she had this personal relationship with Jesus. And I'm going, you know, and I've been wearing my cross on TV for 10 years. And, you know, on all my commercials, even when I'm not on TV, I always wore it. And I always went, you know, I thought there was something more. And it wasn't, you know, until it was like, it was a drop zone thing, a retreat thing I went to, and I actually had an amazing born again experience on February 18th of 2017. It was like you know, as the light switch came on. I can have as much passion for Jesus now as I did for a pillow. You know.
Wow.
And that was very amazing for me, that change and that shift, and. God's been waiting for, you know, I have an amazing platform that he chose me for, and it's for me taking there's a passage in the Bible, I think it's Proverbs 3:5-6, where trust in him with all your heart or something like that, and he will guide your path. And you know, I went down some wrong paths for quite a while, and now I pray for wisdom and discernment every day, and been amazing.
Well, and in that scripture verse, it says, lean not on your own understanding. We really like to try to lean on our own intellect to solve our issues. And when we find out that without God in our life, we're truly powerless over these hurts, habits, and hang-ups, that can be pretty humbling, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that would be me in the past. You know, God blessed me with an amazing way to, you know, most addicts are very resourceful. Because it is such a lot of work. Any addict that's out there listening, how hard is it to hide your addiction, to be able to keep a job, all these things? It is so much work. And when God frees you of that, and you lean on Him, in all ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path, is so much easier. And it, you know, if you, I don't have to use that. I have to make choices, but it's I pray about things, and He guides me, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and I had a needle in my arm and a bottle in my mouth for like 18 years, and I knew the Lord before that. I had a conversion experience, a true born again experience. There was little to no discipleship afterwards. I really didn't know what to do with it. But there's a lot of folks out there, excuse me, that are in the faith community, that are born again believers, that are still struggling with one addiction or another. And addiction's a broad term. We could be talking about pornography. We can talk about, there was a lady I knew that bit her fingernails so badly until they bled. It was actually a form of self-harm. You have chemical addictions, you have behavioral addictions, you have all this stuff. And you can be, and that's what's so confusing to a lot of people in the church, Mike, and see if you don't agree with me. A lot of folks in the church, they don't get it because they're like, well, once you have a relationship with Jesus, then you shouldn't struggle at all, right? I mean, that's kind of what we hear sometimes, isn't it?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And, there's even myself, I still, it's a constant, transformation. And I pray for, I pray all the time for, praying and journaling, so important, and having that relationship with Jesus. But, it's not all, you're still going to have things that, if you have, it really helped me getting to the root of going back and, to my childhood. I've been in a lot of counseling where you go back to your childhood and you find out, what was the root of the addictions in the first place, or the root of these inner wounds that we have, and for me, it was a lot of forgiveness, forgiving myself, and a lot of, I had a very unworthiness wound where I felt so unworthy, and I couldn't talk to people. There's no way. If you'd have told me I would be a speaker or be able to talk on radio or be on TV, and I would have said that ain't going to happen. And, now it's like, and I had to get free to that. And that was, I still work on that door all the time. It's that, I still feel, why am I chosen, God, to do this? And why, but God's got a plan for everyone. And like, to just trust in Him. And I really think that, to find out, to go back and find out where you're, to address those inner pains, those inner wounds is so important. And praying about them with, when you get, getting born again. And the other thing too, you talked about just, obviously just going to church like me, I was, where I'm out there, but, there was a great Christian man, when I'm wearing my cross all these years, and I'm going, but I was missing something that was so important. I couldn't have went on, and talked about Jesus. It was like, for me, I was like, I would be, until I got to know Him myself and got to be in that relationship, it would be like, how can I get passionate about something I didn't even have? But I wanted it so bad. I would always talk to people about it and try and here they would find Jesus, and I'm still waiting over here.
Oh my gosh! You really touched on something there, because I was that way too. I was a great bar stool preacher, and I remember a good friend of mine named Larry Behrens. He I think he was like 18 years old, and I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and we were both working in Yosemite National Park, and we would sit down after work and drink rum and Coke until we were, so blottoed we couldn't even talk. And yet, years later, after he became a Christian, he called me up and he says, it was because of your influence, your knowledge of the scriptures, and how you would talk about Jesus that I turned my will and my life over to Christ. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was drunk that whole time. And he said, it doesn't matter. The word of God doesn't return void.
Right. I had a similar experience. My uncle was one of the worst alcoholics I've ever seen in my life. And he, and I was, of course, still using. It was back in the mid 2000s. And and it was a snowy night in southern Minnesota, and I was down there, and I was actually down there hunting. My buddies had all went to bed, and I knew he was in town staying above this grocery store, and I went to the grocery store and went up the steps to that little apartment, and I walked in there, and there was this long-haired guy in the corner that he didn't say anything, whatever, but we sat up drinking and whatever, and I was running the bathroom doing my drugs, and I talked my uncle into coming back and going into getting help, and he did. The next morning he went and got help, and he was as straight as he was, sober as he was forever. For 6 months he was, but then he did end up relapsing about a half a year later, and he died a year later after that in a hotel of alcohol poisoning in Wyoming. Well, at his funeral, this guy came. I was outside with my dad, and this guy came up to me all clean cut in this suit, and he comes up and he gives me a hug, and he says, "You saved my life. You don't remember that, do you? You remember me?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "You remember that guy in the corner 2 years ago?" And I said, "Wow, that was you." And he goes, "Yeah." He says, "I quit that night, found Jesus, and I found out I'd have been dead in 3 weeks." And I said, "Well, what did I say?" And he goes, "I don't know, but it sure made sense." And but all those times I was trying to convince myself, and it's just, it's amazing how God works. His word is His word,
Amen. Amen to that. Now, Stephen Baldwin speaks very highly of you, and, you are rubbing shoulders with probably people, and this has happened to me too since I've been in broadcasting. We end up rubbing shoulders with people we never dreamed would happen. Are you amazed by that?
That's my most surreal thing the last 2 years. Those are miracles I see. And my book's called What Are the Odds? It's like, I look at miracles. I look at mathematically things like this is a 1 in a million, this is a 1 in a billion. You combine them when you consider it a miracle. Well, for me, the last couple years, by divine appointments, I wasn't into politics. I ended up by a divine appointment, ended up at the National Prayer Breakfast in January of 2016. I picked out of 12 people to pray with Ben Carson in a room, and we prayed for the country. He was still in the election then, and things kept leading up in all these divine appointments, and all of a sudden, one day in the summer of 2016, I get an email from Donald Trump, and he says, "Mike, this is Donald Trump." He said, "Could you meet me in Trump Tower in New York City for a private meeting?" And I ended up meeting him, and I thought, this is the most amazing man. I would want no one else being my president other than him. And I went all in against advice from everybody. This is what God told me to do. And now here I'm friends with, just today I was with the vice president in a meeting. Just for me, here's the next crack addict. And now with all these people from politics to whatever, but, and it's just, I have met people in, famous pastors, famous people, and it's just, I'm going, why me?
Right. Right.
It is for real, and I just stay humble, and I give the glory to Jesus, and whatever He's got me to do in that, whatever I'm supposed to do, I believe I've been following that calling and helping out any way I can with what's going on in our country.
Amen. Amen for that. All right, so we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about your meeting with the vice president today and get your thoughts on some things when it comes to really the number one health crisis in our world, addiction. It gets the least amount of attention due to stigma. What is happening to help break that stigma besides little old Take 12 Radio? There's a lot going on, and maybe you listeners don't even realize it, but we're moving forward. And so don't go away. Listen to this. More with my guest, Mike Lindell, the CEO and founder of MyPillow, when we come back.
You and I know all too well how talented folks in recovery are. KHLT Broadcasting, the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, and the Recovery Broadcasting Network are handing you the opportunity to share some of that talent. If you've ever written your own songs and have always wanted to share them publicly, here's the chance to share your talent with thousands of people all over the world through internet radio. For the next several months, the Monty Man will be reviewing songs written and performed by people in recovery. recovery. Whether you're an accomplished musician or a novice, he wants to hear from you. All forms of music will be considered. Adhering to federal copyright laws and possible contractual agreements, some restrictions may apply.
To submit your original music by email, send MP3s to take12radio@comcast.net. That's TAKE, the number 12, radio@comcast.net. Or drop your CD in the mail, addressed to KHLT, P.O. Box 93, Albany, Oregon, 97321.
This is Ryan Huber, and you're listening to the recovery talk and positive music of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
Yes, indeedy. Welcome back to the world's only faith-based recovery talk and positive music radio station, Take 12 Recovery Radio. Listen, my guest is continually dreaming up ways to help people, but it hasn't always been that way. He's been sharing his story of experience and strength and hope with us today. He first had to give up his drug addiction by giving himself to God, and he did that, and as you've been hearing, miracles started to happen. Since then, he has experienced tremendous success and is now in a position to give back, and give back he does. Mike Lindell, the founder and CEO of MyPillow, is our guest on this special broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. So Mike, you know, my goodness, all you have to do is spend like 3 minutes on social media, and we all know everybody's got a gripe, everybody's got a complaint. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. People are just spewing hatred towards each other. And all the while, really the number one health crisis in our world, which has been going on for a long, long time, the stigma that surrounds that continues. What are some of the plans in the future to help break that stigma? What did you guys talk about today?
Well, the vice president, I told him, and it was yesterday and today actually, but I told him what I'm doing personally. I co-founded. It's called the Recovery Network. It is the most amazing thing where, if you're an addict out there, if you're a 22-year-old opiate addict, let's say, it's hard for you to relate with a 50-year-old alcoholic. Most people can relate, and same way with a family. If you have a family and you have an addict, you need to find someone that is your equal. You know, hey, maybe they have a 22-year-old addict, and you want to talk to that family. Well, anyway, that was that's very hard to do because a lot of people, don't want to. Once they're off addiction, they're not addicted. They don't really want to. They want to protect that and not even talk about it. There's a lot of shame involved with addiction, which is too bad. But what we do, we went out and we're getting 250,000 at least stories of hope. These are 3 to 5 minute videos, just like my story. And now imagine if you're a 22-year-old addict and an opiate addict, and you punch in your age, you punch in, geotag where you're at, you punch in what your drug of choice is, and now you're going to see all these stories filtered down of people in your age group, same addiction, but how they made it through, how they got how their successes were, how they came out the other side, what obstacles they overcame, and it's going to give you hope. And then we're gonna have all these places in their area where they can go get that hope, get the things that these other guys got, and it is going to be amazing. And then this fall, we're going to add to that. We're going to have all these other mentors available to the addicts. So mentors that they can imagine almost like a Facebook, but it's you have mentors you're reaching out to that can mentor, get you through, help you through, and help you get the help you need. Or, a lot of people, I talk to people all over the country that just my story, the reason I came up with this is, a lot of, almost every one of my friends that was on crack cocaine has quit now. Because I gave them hope. God freed them of that. It's shown them hope. And a lot of them found Jesus, but even the ones that didn't, it planted seeds, and they've quit their addiction, or quit that particular addiction. But it's seeds of hope that are going to be planted with this. And then we've got, I've got my foundation coming out where 100% of your money goes to the need, and you get to hear back a difference you made. There's no overhead. And this thing is going to create so many jobs too, at home, people that are home with call centers, It's going to be an amazing launch, coincide with my book coming out called What Are the Odds. I'm going to do that to get the publicity out there for this recovery network. And there are so many great treatment centers out there, and I will name a few: Teen Challenge, Salvation Army, Union Gospel, and I'll tell you, any faith-based treatment center, that's where it's at. I send people all the time that I'm helping people. I don't send them to the other centers that aren't faith-based. I'm sorry, they don't work. They don't work. They don't. You might have a few it works for, but the majority, you need to have something. You get out of treatment, and you need to have Jesus. And also what we're doing too with the families, we're going to give. Imagine families. So you have an addict, and you can reach out to another family. What did they do? How did they get through it? And guide them. They're like mentors too. And when you mentor someone in addiction, it helps the mentor as much as the addict. I can't stress that enough. If you're out there and you've made it through, reach out. You're the ones that need to reach out and pull someone else up. And we can get out of this big epidemic. It got here, and now and it got here with no hope, and now we're bringing it back with hope. And if people have hope, we can get out of this, and we can get. And people need to, they need to find out with these centers and stuff. You'll find out from mentors, and to address the inner pains, the wounds we have that addictions mask, and it'll be absolutely amazing. And I was telling this, we're talking to the vice president about this, and this is stuff the president and I talked about back in 2016 about, the addictions and we
right.
talked about all kinds of stuff so that's
well, this is so exciting, and let me tell you, and you don't know this about me, but I was the first outreach coordinator in the Pacific Northwest for Teen Challenge 30 years.
Oh wow!
30 years ago. And speaking of being a believer and a Christian and still struggling with some of your addictive behaviors, I fell off the wagon during that time, and Teen Challenge had to let me go. Well, fast forward 30 years, and that all got healed, and there was restoration, and they hired me as the education coordinator for one of the centers here in the Pacific Northwest here a couple of years ago. And so I've been working with Teen Challenge for a long time, and I've just retired from that position last September. I moved into retirement to dedicate more time to Take 12 Recovery Radio. But what we've done, and I'm just giving a plug for my show here real quick, folks. What we've done is we have developed a broadcast the first and third Wednesday of every month. We interview men and women from Teen Challenge of Arizona, and they share their stories of hope, and they come on. Snow Peabody, who is the former president of Teen Challenge USA, he's a friend of ours, and we connect with these folks. They have 5 centers in Arizona. It's an amazing program there in Arizona. And so we're hooking up with Teen Challenge all the time. And so I'm like you. We've had some of the majors from Salvation Army on our shows. I'm with you on this. Let's get to the heart of the matter. Let's get to what's really going on. And what's really going on is we have a God-shaped hole, and we're trying to fill it with everything else but God. Let's get to the solution, which is Jesus Christ, right?
Absolutely. And the co-founders of this recovery network is with Teen Challenge with David Wilkerson and Nick Cruz. Don Wilkerson, his brother, and a group came from the original Teen Challenge, came out to visit me. We co-founded it together. So they are my number one partners. We're getting these stories of hope from Teen Challenge. When you have the addicts reaching out to the alumni, and that's how we're gathering these stories, and it's so it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I went out there and I visited the original Teen Challenge, talked to a lot of the addicts there. I don't know if you're familiar with Jimmy Jack. So I met them, and we're co-founded this together. So it's and there's no better treatment centers than Teen Challenge and Salvation Army, Union Gospel. You got to have Jesus.
Well, I'll tell you something, brother. I'm getting goosebumps right now because I don't think there's any mistake that you and I have met and that we're doing this show today.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's too many things.
We can get a lot of these stories. It sounds like right from on your show. Get them out there to people and because I'll tell you, hope brings. Got to have hope. Plant seeds of hope.
Yeah, and I don't know why we're amazed when God does what He says He'll do, but we always are, and it's a beautiful thing to watch how he orchestrates things and brings people together. Knowing that your involvement with Teen Challenge, a good friend of mine who is also my co-host on a show called Entitled to Overcome on Fridays, he said, "Oh, I know who Mike is." He goes, "He's donated pillows to Teen Challenge because he was in Teen Challenge in Minneapolis."
Right on.
And I'm like, wow, this all just comes together, and it's an amazing thing, folks. You don't want to miss God working through recovery. It is the most amazing thing that you'll ever experience. Don't miss it. Mike, let me ask you, how difficult, let's switch gears here just for a minute. How difficult is it to get a patent?
Well, I think the question should be how important are patents?
How important? Okay. Yeah.
So many, a patent, if anybody's out there, you should get it. They call provisional patent. I would suggest them. They're very inexpensive and get that. But to get a patent, it can be quite hard. But when you get it, I got mine just so I could always make my own product, which was very important because I was told that the big companies were going to get a patent on MyPillow and then shut it down and never make the product. The cars that got 200 miles to gallon. And so, by getting your own patent, you can at least always make sure you can make your own product. But the provisional patents are very important because you can, if you do get copied, there's so much. I'm hoping that this administration, which they have, stop the thievery from overseas, where they take great ideas here and they come back and they saturate it with stuff made from overseas, copycats and stuff, and that's bad. But if you're an entrepreneur out there, to get that provisional patent and then do home shows and fairs and little shows, there's nothing better than testing your product in a live environment and getting feedback. And then also, if you know someone out there that's been in that kind of business that you trust, where you can reach out to him for a mentor, that's very important. Even in any kind of business, find a mentor that you can ask questions so you don't make the same mistakes he did. But there's a lot to it. But the provisional patent's easy to get, and it protects you. So.
Right. So okay, so when you started doing this idea with the MyPillow thing, the story goes that you actually were sketching out the design for the logo before you even had the first prototype, right?
Yeah, I actually had a dream. I had so many dreams that I know were God. But the first one was there were no My's back then, and I came up MyPillow, and I go, that sounds kind of weird, But I thought, where's MyPillow? And I actually wrote it all over the house at like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm writing these logos out, and my daughter came upstairs. One of my daughters did. She goes, she's like 11 years old or 10. She goes, what are you doing? And I go, I got this idea that's going to be called MyPillow. It's going to be the most amazing product ever. And she grabs her glass of water and she looks and she goes, that's really random, Dad. And she went back downstairs.
That's really random.
And the next 3 days, or the next 3 weeks, months go by, and the kids are going to their mother, well, when's he going to get over this pillow thing? And she goes, oh, he'll get over it soon. Don't worry about it. It's just a phase,
And actually what ended up happening is your whole family got on board with this thing. Your son actually brought in 10 or so of his friends. You hired them to help you with the manufacturing of all this.
Yeah. What they did, they spent about a year inventing MyPillow, year and a half. My one son, we would tear different foams on the deck every day when he got home from school, try different things in a pillow, and finally I had I go, wow, this works, but I couldn't find a machine that made the sizes I needed, so I had to invent that. That's quite a story. And then I wanted to make it so you could wash and dry it. That took another couple months. I went back to the these guys in Wisconsin. I said, I want this stuff to be able to wash and dry. And finally I had the pillow, and I walked into box stores. One of them was a Bed Bath & Beyond. I said, how many you want? I have the best pillow ever made. And I, where's your owner? Where's your buyer? And he goes, I am the manager. And he said, you need to leave. I said, we don't want your pillow. I was just shut out everywhere. And my a friend of mine, my brother-in-law's brother, says, Mike, why don't you try a kiosk? I said, how do you spell that? And what is it?
Oh, no.
I ended up doing this kiosk, and we always sold it. We mortgaged our house, 4 little kids, and hardly any. We had no money, nothing left, and I was still mirrored in addiction, but I put all my focus into the pillow then, and we only sold about 8. But one day I was there, and this one guy said, "You have a card?" And I said, "No, I'm all out of cards. I just wrote it on a piece of paper." He's the only guy who gave my phone number, and he happened to call in January, which was a very divine appointment. He called up. He says, "Are you the guy that invented this pillow here in Minnesota?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I run the Minneapolis Home and Garden Show, and how would you like a spot in that show?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I went into that show, and I changed my booth up, and I did the pitches myself, and I learned that I could be behind that booth, and I didn't need drugs or anything. As I started hearing back from people how the pillow had helped them, and it was just so rewarding, and it was amazing. Well, we sold out that show, and then I got in the Minnesota State Fair right away, and I learned that I could at least support my family doing show to show, and that's when my kids got involved. They learned my friend, we hired like, I don't know, 15, 16-year-olds that time. He was in charge of 16 years old, running the little factory, and I had to learn how to sew, and so I was the sewer, and it was pretty amazing. We did shows and fairs for 6 and 7 years, and like I say, we had so much adversity. People tried to steal the company. They tried to. One time I had people buy in. They fired me on the first day that they had. And and that didn't work out for him. But it was just all this stuff that God protected me during that time.
You bet.
Everything that could have happened to MyPillow happened. And 20-year marriage I lost. We were actually making labeling the pillows in our living room, and in the dark days of the spring of 2007, and they shut off our house. We lost our house. It was literally lights out, and my wife couldn't take more. She left me, and then the next couple of years till I quit everything on January 16, 2009. And then I said, okay, God, where do we go from here? And the people had taken the company then. They'd taken all my shows and my fabric, and I needed to come up with $30,000, and nobody. I had nothing left in the world. Well, God led me to these guys. There was 8 of them I didn't even know, and I walked in with a pillow and 3 jars, and there was a CFO and all these CIOs and all these people, and I walked in there and I started telling my story. I needed to have $30,000 that afternoon, and I said, I have a pillow that I invented, and I'm going to do shows with my friends. And I said, I'll pay you back $40,000. I used to be a crack cocaine addict, and I'm telling them all this stuff. And the one guy goes, well, when did you quit crack? And I said, last Thursday. and 4 of them got up and left the room and shook their heads and left the room. But I said, well, now there's 4. You can all put in $7,500, and they ended up doing that, and that was the first miracle. And my sister, she kept telling me, you got to pray for favor. And I go, well, what's this favor thing? And boy, I would pray for favor, and it just kept coming. And then it got up to 2011, and I thought, you know what? If no one's going to take my pillow, I'm going to. And I got such amazing feedback from all the shows I did. I said, I'm going to do an infomercial. And I didn't know infomercials fail. You just do it to get into box stores. And I told my friends, family, we all pooled our money, and we wanted to make something real. And we did it with just a real audience and just a friend of mine. And I was living in my sister's basement, and it launched October 7th, 2011 at 3 in the morning. And I had 5 employees and me and my kids, and 40 days later, I had 500 employees.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, I think back now, by December 26th of 2011, we were the #1 infomercial in the world, and we were hiring people off the street. They go, Mike, you need to be CEO. I go, why do I need to be CEO? Don't they just take money? And they go, no, we need an HR department. I said, that sounds horrible. Let's just keep making pillows. I don't know how everybody got their pillow in time for Christmas that year. We sold tens of thousands of them, and we, people are coming off the streets. I'm hiring them. We're sewing through the night and making them, and that was a miracle in itself. I think back now, how did these pillows all go out on time when we just exploded like that? And it's just been surreal for me. Now I have over 1,600 employees, 400,000 square feet of factory, my own call center. Every part of MyPillow I micromanage and macromanage, and it's just, we create careers, not just jobs. And we're a company of second chances. I hire people that have I had an HR department once, and they go, Mike, we don't want to hire this person, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she said, this is a problem and this problem. And I said, have you looked at your CEO lately? Well, I got rid of the HR department. Now we have what's called an employee health department. And 500 of my employees have my direct phone number. They can call me if they see any deviations. If they know if somebody's got a problem, with addictions, wherever, we get them help. We don't just fire them and spend them, we get them help, and it's amazing. And we're like a big family because of that. And they know that we don't have a big turnover at MyPillow. Everyone loves their job, and if they do leave and do something else, we welcome them back if it didn't work out. I think too many companies nowadays, people are afraid to take chances because they can't get they're afraid I've been at this job so long, if I leave and I won't be able to come back. Well, at MyPillow, we encourage that. If they get a better opportunity and they go try it and it doesn't work.
Wow, so. that is what an amazing story. I'm just floored and so excited for you, and for MyPillow and all the folks that work for you, and you're giving back to your community and to God. And so many people, they get clean, they get sober, and then you never hear from them again, or they bury them. And nothing against the 12-step community. I'm a 12-stepper, but sometimes we hide in the basements of our churches and meeting halls, and we don't say it because we don't understand the anonymity tradition of those programs and fellowships. We don't say anything to anybody. We don't let them know that recovery works. And shame on us for that. We need to stand up. We need to be part of the hammer that breaks the stigma. And then we need to give back to a community that we took so much from in our active using. And you're doing that. And one of the things that I love about your product is people that get healthy, people that get into recovery, and they recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and God removes the obsession, and now they're getting healthy. One of the most important aspects of our life is proper sleep. And people need to understand how vitally important that is and what you're sleeping on. Now, at our house, we have a Sleep Number bed and we have MyPillow. And I am telling you, listeners, it has changed this former active addict's life because not only that, but I have diabetes, and so sleep is absolutely essential. And last year, we purchased MyPillow, and everything changed. I mean, the way my neck feels, I don't toss and turn. I sleep through the night. It's just, I really believe the hand of God is all over this thing, Mike, and I just so appreciate what you're doing for all of us.
Well, thank you so much. And I give all the glory to God. He gave me this idea for the pillow. It's helped 41 million pillows we sold as of Monday.
Oh, my gosh.
41 million. And that's, I just can't, for me, it's just surreal. And it's helped so many people. When I walk down the streets of America now, everyone that comes up to me, that's one of three things. They say, Mike, they talking how great the pillow is, how it helps them sleep, and they're just, that it created a miracle. Number two, that they go, your story inspired me. I know that with your redemption story for Jesus and addiction. And then the third one is, thank you for backing our president, and we're praying for him, and we're praying for our country. And those three things, I just so, just hearing those things to me all the time, it just keeps me going. They go, how can you have this much passion for a pillow 13 years later? It's because of hearing the stories back and hearing that it's changing the world changing the world and helping people.
Yeah, one pillow at a time, right?
Right on. Yeah.
And you've got a book coming out. You're also working on a movie, I heard, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a movie. I just did a movie with Stephen Baldwin. It's called Church People. That's going to be out, and I have a cameo in that. And it's a Christian comedy. And I wanted to learn the movie industry before I made a movie from my book.
Right.
And because my movie from my book is I believe it's going to help so many people. I've had 14 near-death experiences. I've had, all the stuff that we haven't had time to talk on your phone. I've had so many things happen that are miracles and things in my life that you're telling the story. By the time you read the book, if you don't believe in God, you didn't read the book. And
right.
And I can't wait to that money that's going to go for that is going to just go right into my foundation and giving back and helping people. It's just going to be that platform has gotten so big that the platform of trust and integrity, and I just want to do it for a special, keep following the right path that God has me on to give back, and that's I enjoy. People say, Mike, you're so busy. Do you ever sleep? And I go, yeah. When I do sleep, it's quality, but I love what I do, so it doesn't even seem like work.
Right. Right. So listen, Mike, I want to we want to be a part of your story and help you promote your book when that comes out. Please let's stay in contact. We want to make sure that our listeners have an opportunity to enjoy that, and also with the movie, and to talk more about the Lindell Foundation and what you're doing. I just like I said, I don't think there's any accidents in the universe. I think God's behind all good and perfect things come from the Father of lights, and that's our Heavenly Father through the power and love of Jesus Christ. And so we definitely want to keep in contact with you and partner with you on this wonderful journey that you're going through and helping other people. It's just amazing. I just congratulations, brother.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, listen, this is the Mike Lindell story. This is an American dream. And, we've lost so many dreams. People have come to a place where they're so distraught. Politically, people are just at each other's throats. Spiritually, we know it's a spiritual battle. We don't fight against flesh and blood. It's a spiritual battle. There's so many arguments going on in life about guns, no guns, marriage equality. There's just so much. We can get lost and caught up in all the distractions that the enemy of our soul would love us to pay attention to. Take 12 Radio, stories like Mike Lindell, these are things that can bring us back to what the point is. The point is, your Creator, the God of the universe, the God who is God, loves you so much, He wants a personal relationship to walk side by side, hand in hand with you. And I'm telling you, listeners, if you allow the distractions of the day to cement your attention to them, you'll miss the point. Please copy this show, download this show, share it with your friends. There is hope. There is never anyone beyond hope, right, Mike?
That's absolutely right. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Hope, seeds of hope. That's what we got out there. There's hope in if you've got anything in everyone out there, if you're sitting there, there's nothing I can tell firsthand. There's nothing better. There's nothing for me, all those years talking to people and telling them, and they would quit and they would find Jesus. It was just me looking. And you know what? My friend and I asked in December of 2008, I said, is it boring? Is it, I had all these questions for him. And he said, no, man, it's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. Well, Mike, thank you so much for giving us this much time to have you on our show. I appreciate it so very much.
I'll be back anytime you want me.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have you back. We want to help promote your work. Folks, my guest has been Mike Lindell, founder and CEO of Mike's wonderful product, MyPillow. And we personally own 3 of them. If you listen, I am telling you, you can spend hundreds of dollars on bedding. You can spend hundreds of dollars on a pillow. This pillow isn't going to cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It just isn't. It's very reasonably priced. There's 2-for-1 sales. You can have them custom made depending on how you sleep. I want you to go to mypillow.com and look at this product. And if you decide to purchase this amazing pillow, use the promo code TAKE12. Use the promo code TAKE12 and you will get a incredible discount. And you'll also help to promote the world's only faith-based recovery talk and positive music radio station, Take 12 Recovery Radio. Don't forget, go to mypillow.com. When you order, use the promo code TAKE12. You will be absolutely amazed. I've never heard one negative thing from anybody that has purchased this product. Am I doing an advertisement here? Maybe, but I am telling you, your health is important. And for those of you that are in recovery, for those of you who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, some of the aspects of your life now need to improve, and sleep's one of them. Please give this a chance. You will not be sorry that you did. MyPillow.com is the link. Also, on our main page at take12radio.com is a link to Mike's documentary, The Mike Lindell Story, An American Dream. You don't want to miss that. You want to sit down in front of your television set or your computer screen with your family and watch this amazing story of experience, strength, and hope, and the power of God with Mike Lindell's story and his wonderful family as well. All right, our closing song is I See You by our good friend and recovery recording artist, Mr. Bryan Duncan.
I see you watching over me every day another way that I can see your love, and I see you looking out for me. All I want to do is thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Under a bridge or up on a mountain, see you in everything like stars are counting. The streets of gold or just mud and gravel, you're always with me on this road I travel. Straight and narrow, goes up and down, and don't leave a place for me to turn around, and I can make it 'cause you're waving me through, yeah. I see the signs that I do, and I do find you. I see you watching over me, and every day another way that I can see your love, and I see you looking out for me. All I want to do is thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's right. Help I can use or none to speak of. No way I'm gonna lose it. I trust in your love. Whatever comes, I'd rather face it all together. I see a clue, know it's you, I remember. I see you watching over me every day another way that I can see your love, and I see you looking out for me. All I want to do is thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And that's right. And when
Mr. Bryan Duncan with I See You. Hey, a very special thank you to our guest today, Mr. Mike Lindell, the founder and CEO of MyPillow. Listen, you really got to get one of these things. I own 3 of them. But more importantly, I just want to thank him for his amazing story of redemption, what God has done in his life. What a blessing, what a story, what a gift, what a treat. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man, and I'm wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.